Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Tressel, and I did my campaign analysis on the It Can Wait campaign by AT&T. I'm showing you an overview of the essay that I wrote and just kind of walking through the campaign as well as the thought processes and the SWOT analysis and everything that went along in it. So why don't we just go on ahead. The overview of this campaign is basically the idea of AT&T being a phone company decided after many years of, introducing their business and selling plans and phones for people, with the rise of cell phones, noticing the dangers of distracted driving. That was one of the very first things that popped up in my head when noticing this campaign, was the idea that this phone company decided to do something for a positive impact on society as far as saving the lives of individuals over making money. Right before the launch of their campaign, there were statistics that were showing that in 2009 alone, 5,474 people were killed, and so many more people were injured in distracted driving accidents. So just that alone, there was a pull to really make a change in this world as far as moving forward in the mobile world. So this campaign was launched in March of 2010, and it started off with really promoting ads and making documentaries to cover all sorts of different ideas and things. And throughout the course of the campaign, they partnered with different people and also even different phone companies that would have helped along this process to get people to be aware of distracted driving and aware of advocacy for this campaign. In 2013, they refocused their campaign to be directed more towards teens, and really driving the idea of making this campaign be a lot more serious than just a normal, awareness. The documentaries that they made were counted for real life people, real life scenarios that really pulled at the senses of emotion, so that hopefully people would care and be sensitive towards the topic. A lot of people were moved by this campaign, and still to this day, there's so many pledges being made to stop distracted driving. Moving on to the SWOT analysis, there was a lot of strengths and there was still some weaknesses that were shown. As far as the strengths, I think right away it's important to address the issue of how they used their campaign to really draw the attention and the emotion from people, to bring the seriousness of the issue. It also challenged people to take a stance on texting and driving. So by their opportunities of making pledges and things, they really tried hard to really interact with people to stand up against this. Some of their weaknesses, though, for instance, from a company standpoint, they had the ability to lose money because basically they were asking people to stop texting, which directly affects them. So from a company perspective, their campaign was able to have them lose money. The other issue with that, people may not actually want to do anything. As far as having the campaign move people, there's still a difference between being moved and then doing the actional part. It's hard to control people's actions, and I think we are all aware of that. So that's the issue. And a little bit later, I will talk about how that issue arose with the success of this campaign, as far as the idea of people or the statistics not showing that this campaign being quote-unquote successful because of that idea in itself. There are some opportunities as far as just making people aware of the dangers of distracted driving. I think this campaign did a really good job at just providing the opportunity for people to be aware of and be more mindful about. I know even after reading through this campaign, being reminded again and again of how important it is to really be careful about using my phone in the car or not using my phone in the car. And then some of the threats, obviously other companies joined in, so it could easily create competition between the businesses, especially during and after the campaign ends, if it ever does. And yeah, even the target audience of the group, it also needed to be directed towards like people who actually make an influence and who can, do something, for instance, like the parents. Moving on to the evaluation of the programming, like I said earlier, there's a lot of statistics and results from this campaign that weren't necessarily what you might expect. Obviously, you would think that this campaign did a really good job in promoting and showcasing their just the awareness of everything. However, they did reach a lot of people. I don't know about you. I know personally, I remember all of the ads. I remember watching documentaries and being reminded of these stories, and that just shows in itself of how they got this campaign to be so popular. Throughout the campaign, there was different phases of everything. And technically it's still going on today, so it's still an active campaign that they're changing and adapting for today's society. The last kind of phase, I should say, we're just kind of changing the messaging to resonate with everyone. That way it reaches a broader audience and people would care more. They did a really good job at bringing people who were strong presences to make an impact. They brought a lot of celebrities in. A few of them I listed here, like Demi Lovato and Bobby Flay and many others that will reach a larger group of people. And of course, we know at that point, bringing in celebrities is always a good idea because people resonate with that. People want to do what they want or what they see and so forth. So they were very strategic in their efforts. But I think even going into the critical evaluation, as far as them being strategic and reaching a far range of people, it's still the tell of this campaign was still considered not to be a successful campaign. Only because, like I previously stated before, it's hard to control people's actions, right? It's hard to control whether or not people are still going to use their phones. And it's hard to track that. It's hard to make people accountable for that. They allow people to make repledges on their campaign. So if you pledged once, and let's say you break your pledge, you are able to pledge again, which is very big, but also would be considered something as far as, are you actually doing something for the long run, or are people just going to fall back into their old habits? So even though it's so clear that this campaign did something so good, it's really important to kind of realize what exactly are they accomplishing, or what have they accomplished with this campaign. It's very clear that they wanted people to persuade people to join and understand the cause, and if that's their solely responsibility of their case, they did a wonderful job. However, as far as the numbers go, even though they seem to be very successful, it really didn't, you can't stop people from doing things that they want to do. So there's still people who die from distracted driving. There's still people who get majorly injured from distracted driving. I think the U.S. Department of Transportation said that the deaths from distracted driving did decrease by 2.2%. However, that's still almost 9 out of 10 people who admit to using their phones behind the wheel, even after seeing this campaign and seeing the seriousness of the issue. And that's still a huge number. So I think overall, like, this campaign was still such a wonderful and huge impact on society today. However, I think what I took away from it was how important it is for companies to do this. However, as far as just a campaign goes, taking the success of a campaign doesn't mean necessarily looking at the numbers, because something like this, it's hard to consider the success when you're looking straight at the numbers versus what's the impact it's making on people's hearts and lives. Because the hope is for them to still make an impact. The hope is to still bring down the number of distracted drivers, and that will forever be an issue that we are dealing with. But for the sake of this campaign, I don't think it's going to end anytime soon, and they're going to continue to keep standing up for lives over money, which I think in it of itself is really hopeful. So yeah, this was a super interesting campaign to look into. If you are interested at all as well, I highly consider watching some of the documentaries that they've made. They are super impactful and heart-wrenching. But otherwise, thank you for listening to this, and I hope you have a wonderful day.